Hey everyone, it's Marcy, and I'm going to be explaining my survival day endless Cobless setup. Okay, let's get started. You're gonna notice that it's slightly different from the last time you saw the setup. That's because I realized I don't really need that extra Doom-Shroom. But yeah, so let's watch the gameplay here. I'm going to be picking my plants now. Yeah. Um, So you're gonna notice that the first three slots are all going to be stalling plants. It's sort of interchangeable between like puff shroom, scaredy shroom, flower pot, sun shroom. Just your regular old cannon fodder. And in those slots, I might sometimes also have spikeweed and blover, depending on if there are zombonis or balloon zombies. So on a level that's like the hardest zombies, like Giga Gargantors, Zombonis, football zombies, balloon zombies, and Jack in the Box, I'm gonna have like Puff Shroom, Spikeweed, and Blover, which is not very good for sun consumption. Well, anyway, so with this strategy, what you want to do is like stall as much as possible, both with the plants, the cannon fodder plants, and the ice shrooms. Ice shrooms are super important here because it gives you time to recharge your plants and also for your DPS to damage the Gargantors. Also, in this strategy, it's very important to constantly be doing something. And if you're not damaging Gargantors with your instants, if you're not doing anything, if you find yourself not doing anything, you should be stalling. You should always be stalling. Because it's so important. And speaking of instants, you're gonna notice that every single time that squash is available, I'm going to be using squash. That's because it has a very fast recharge and it does a lot of damage. It's very useful. I also got Cherry Bomb, which I only use on the 4th lane on the 7th column. That's because I use it there to prevent killing too many zombies. Because if I kill too many zombies, the next wave is going to start right away. And I don't want that. I want to stall as much as possible. And also, I only use it in those lanes because the top 2 lanes, I mostly use the squash to damage on the 2nd lane. And the top lane doesn't need that much help with DPS anyway, since it has the most DPS on the lawn. And speaking of, actually, the top lane with the Gatling Peas. This is the firepea strategy, which I learned from Hitori Dakeno. And the reason it's there is because A, it's fun, and B, it sort of makes sure that the top lane is like completely free of zombies, so it doesn't like completely cover the seed bar. I want to see that shit. And also, it's not symmetrical, as in I don't have the Gatling Peas on the bottom either, because if I have 2 lanes that have Gatling Peas, the game is gonna be going too fast, and that's not good. As I've said, I want to be stalling as much as possible. Okay, so let's talk about the middle lane. The middle lane is like, besides the top lane, it has the most DPS. This is so that I don't have to do anything in that lane. Everything dies right away. Or not right away, but everything dies there, and I don't have to do anything about it. It's just so that I don't have to worry about it. I can worry about the 2nd and 4th lanes, And it also makes sure that I can always put a Doom-Shroom in the middle lane. Yeah, Doom-Shroom. Let's talk about that. It's a very important plant because I want to be damaging all of these Giga Gargantors on the stream. You see, there's so many of them. See, right now I'm gonna plant a Doom-Shroom. And you see that I paused the game actually to minimize the time between planting the Doom-Shroom and planting the coffee bean. This is to prevent the Doom-Shroom from being instantly killed by the Gargantuars or whatever. The only thing that can kill instants when they're activated is like a Jack-in-the-Box song. So everything else is gonna be, it's not gonna be able to kill the Doom-Shroom once it's activated by the coffee bean. So I want to do it as fast as possible. So you use that pausing technique. So the placement of the spikeweed actually I think is pretty important here because the Zombonis are extremely dangerous. They can kill the front Doom-Shrooms very easily, and those front Doom-Shrooms are super important. If one of them dies, then everything falls apart. So with the spikeweeds, what I do is I first, let's say a wave comes in and there are Zombonis on the second and fourth lanes. What I do is I place the spikeweed on the second lane first with you'll see here I put it on the second lane first on the 9th column, and since the recharge is 10 seconds, it gives me enough time to place another one on the 4th lane on the 7th column when the Zomboni is there. I've calculated before that the Zomboni takes like around 12 seconds to travel 3 tiles, so I have enough time to put a spikeweed there. But there are a lot of times when spikeweed is not available, and in those cases I just use cherry bomb or squash. But those are not very often. You know, I do my best to make sure that I time my instants and spikeweeds correctly. Yeah. I want to talk about the pumpkin as well. You're gonna see I have pumpkin on the Doom-Shroom on the 2nd lane and 4th lane. Sometimes this is most of the time to protect them from football zombies. There aren't any football zombies in this flag, but when there are, it's very important to protect those Doom-Shrooms from getting eaten. It's very often that they get chewed on, which you don't want. Another thing is sometimes you see me shoveling these pumpkins. That is to prevent them from being squashed by the Zomboni, because pumpkins have a slightly larger, a wider hitbox than other plants. So Gargantuars and Zombonis activate, like destroying them a lot earlier. For Gargantuars though, that's actually a good thing because it gives you like an extra stalling mechanic. So basically, when they start swinging on the pumpkin, I shovel the pumpkin and they don't actually hit the plant. So it's a nice extra layer of like stalling in case you need it. And I do need it sometimes when I place a Doom-Shroom in front of the Gloom-Shroom there, because it makes a crater. So I can't stall using the stalling plants. I relied on the pumpkin stalling to stall there. So yeah, that was I hope I was able to explain most of what I did here, and if you have any more questions, you can leave a comment. Thanks for watching.